We go to start. Sure. Okay. So first thing, my name is Alan, and a part of our association. So as you can see, our association is Health Data Science Application Association. So regularly we host this Data Lab Meetups. Like last time we did 2 weeks ago, there was a session about using machine learning for some project like Macau Data Lab Meetup with YOLO, so object detection basically. So this topic is really heat, so we open up this session right away. And today we're going to talk about ChatGPT. Of course, everybody already heard of it. Okay, so thank you, Serge, first, and for providing us a very nice venue. That's why we're here. And okay, I'll speak today. So first thing will be Xiaomia. He will introduce us ChatGPT as a search engine, how it works. Some deep dive from Cassie will be some information how you automate the search engine. And last but not least, the tech side of from search, maybe telling us some story or why ChatGPT could be maybe the other way. No good to us, and yeah, that's general our agenda today. Yeah, shall we?
Okay, so thank you for coming. There's many new people didn't see before, so I hope it's going to be interesting. I just put up a quick presentation on search engine. In fact, I did the whole thing. So my point is really to introduce the discussion, give some topics to talk about, right? I will try to make it short. If I'm too long, let me know. Adam, let me know if I'm too long. At 10 minutes, you stop me, okay? You stop me, okay? Because there's a lot of slides, it's difficult to put everything into a presentation. So there's a lot of it's 30 years of research and more on information retrieval. So if you want, that's difficult to put in 20 slides. So basically, just want to start with the obvious stuff that we have search engines everywhere. Of course, we have the GAFA, Google, and whatever, DuckDuckGo, and all these search engines. Okay, that's search engines for generalities on the web. But we have also companies like Amazon, like all these e-commerce websites that are also actually having their own search engines. It's kind of external, internal search engine for products. And by the way, you also have recommenders. Recommenders is a kind of search engine, if you want, when you are recommending a product, a kind of search engine without you asking for the search, in fact. So it's not like the generalist web where you are actually actively asking for something. Here you're not actively looking for something, but you're still presented some search results. Okay, and of course there is the personal and company internal search engines or stuff like that. Well, here I put the government UK, it's irrelevant, but you have a ticket, you are working in IT, you have ticket entering, you have HR systems, whatever. You have plenty of stuff that are internal to the companies, and also you have your own personal files. When you're looking for something on your computer, you're also doing searches. Okay, so it's all about search. And the problem is that even though that's years and decades that we are working in this, it's still very hard to find what you want. Okay, we experience this everywhere, every day. When we are faced with a search engine, it never understands exactly what we want. Okay, you need always to review your search to make sure you get your results. Basically, there is 4 kinds of intents when a user. And it's classified like this. When a user does a search on the web, let's say, there is like 4 kinds, roughly, or 3 or 4 kinds of intentions. Informational, that you just want to have information on something, like you are going to on Wikipedia or you are doing a search to know about stuff. Okay. Another one is navigational. Either navigational in real life, like Google Maps, or you want a direction or a restaurant or whatever, or an address somewhere, or know someone. but it can be a URL or a specific website. You are looking for such website. Find me a website doing AI for generating pictures. That's navigational. And you have transactional and commercial. Transactional is you want to buy something. Okay, you just want to buy a dress for a cocktail. And commercial is more about knowing how the business works. Basically, you want to know about a company. You want to know about this kind of things. So it's kind of a meta. It's between informational and transactional. But basically this kind of overlapping, it's not a very, very strict definitions, but that's something that SEO, I guess everybody knows what it is. It's search engine optimization, that the people who are actually trying to hack the search engine to provide people with the best result and appear on the first results in the page. And these SEOs use this, they try to classify searches in terms of intent so that they understand who is doing what and for what intention. Because you don't really want to push. Yeah, you don't really want to push first a page into the first result of Google if this person only wants information. You don't really care about this. You want to target the people who are actually doing transactions. If you are okay, so. The thing I worked for, and I forgot to say that I just worked recently for a company that was actually willing to fix the problem of not being able to find what you want. These people who had an idea of trying to give people who search on the web exactly what they wanted. So if you write your query, you will get served with exactly. It's like someone reading your mind is going to magically give you exactly what you want in one go. That was the goal of this startup. I just worked a very short time for this. Okay, so the idea was to say, okay, we don't understand the intention, so let's improve the intention. Okay, let's improve how we can guess what someone wants, right? The problem is very, very hard to do, and this basically is a relevance problem in search for information retrieval. This is called the relevance information. That is, you have an idea and you want the results to correspond to what you wanted initially, right? This is called the relevance problem. It's difficult to measure and it's difficult to assess. Basically, if you have a search engine, look at this. If you break down your query as about Macau. If I ask you, if I just talk to you and say both Macau, what would you answer? You have no clue, right? So how do you expect?
Why both Macau?
Do you mean both Macau? I don't want to buy Macau. Anyway, so you don't know. So maybe by the way this is misspelled. Maybe you want the history of boats, which would be informational, very schedules, etc. You want images of boats, or you want a book about that, or you want to rent a boat. You can plenty of possibilities. Okay. On top of that, not only the search engine has to understand what you actually want from keywords, but on top of this, he wants to give you something relevant from out of this. Plus, he also has to comply with what the company wants, because if you have been hired by a company to push results on a search result page, the company also wants to have the product pushed. Okay, so there's double constraint. So it's extremely difficult for search engines to do that. So some solutions have been given, as you know. So when you want to correct the people, you have in Google, you have the orthograph correction. How do you mean buy Macau instead of both Macau and stuff like this? Also, it provides suggestions. Suggestions are basically popular searches that people do that Google knows that are giving good results. So it proposes this, so it simplifies a lot of the task. You can focus on the meaning, except boat is okay, it's boat maybe, but that's not the right word. Maybe in fact what people ask is actually cruise or sailing or transport or whatever. Okay, so can propose this too. And instead of just sticking to boat, and trying to enlarge and trying to find a popular request. You can also understand what the user wants. You make a profile of the user. If this guy is interested in history, probably he wants history books about boats, or he wants image of old boats or stuff like this. And also when you have, like just before, you have a perplexity, that is you don't know which domain you are in, but you can propose all of these domains. You can just try and error, and you propose something, and you go ahead from this. But still, it's a guessing game. You are guessing stuff. So you have to interact like this. It's not very comfortable, and it's not comfortable either for the user itself. We know that, we have experienced that. We are asking a question, then if I have to ask a question to someone, I'm going to make a sentence. How are you today, or something like this, right? But here you have to make an extra step. You have to put keywords. That is, you have to tweak your brain, decompose your thoughts, put keywords. Then you see the results. Oh shit, that's not the right keywords. And I put other keywords. I try again. Oh, at some point I got the results that looks good. Then I have to read all these docs. Okay. When I read these docs, I learn stuff because, in fact, the history of boats, there is a specific names of boats, so that's the one I want, etc. So you come back with your new knowledge, you make another keyword, and you repeat this a lot of time. And at each step here, when you read the doc, you are basically building up your own summary. So to go from something that is human understanding here, question, to here, you have to go to all these steps. So as a human, it's just a nightmare. So nothing works, neither for the human, neither for the search engine. That's not very interesting. So this company wanted to fix this. But yeah, that's a bit of this situation. Basically, you have someone driving here because cannot see the search engine, and you have this guy, but on top of that, he cannot speak. So it's not like turn right is. Okay, so good luck to find something. I exaggerate, of course. A little bit. I like to make the ideas clear. So, just wanted to understand now why we are in this situation, because it looks like it's a bit this is stupid, we should do somewhere else. But in fact, this is a whole story of search engines. Basically, in fact, in the beginning, we had internet like this, so there were isolated pages here and there, etc. Some were linked to each other, some were very popular.
Is it even before Google, right?
Yeah, that's just before any search engine exists. So what do people do when they want to organize a bit of this? But some people do like pages like this, and you put all the URLs you are interested in, etc. Just like a book, in fact. You make a table of contents. And yeah, people, because there is many this kind of system existing before internet, just a table of contents. If you open a dictionary, it's organized with the letters, so there's a system of indexing. Here you have a library file system. You have a code. If you go in the library, you have codes to classify by themes, by history, science, and stuff like this. So you can find your stuff. So there are ways to organize that, and that's what people did in the beginning. But if you do that, the problem is that it's not structured really. You have unlike a database where you have everything in tables, so everything is very, very, very clear and very clean. Then you can just, if you know SQL, you can just do a select. Here on the net, it's completely random. Some people have their pages referenced, some have not, etc. There are lists or there are no lists. You don't know. So the solution is to make a search engine. And the search engine, what does he do? He goes on the internet, uses his little spider. It's called a spider because the net looks like the web, so it's put away on the web. Voilà, so you have a web, and then you have a spider. Voilà, he goes everywhere. He gathers. Yes, that's brother. Finally searched after so long time. So yeah, sorry, I'm saying your stuff here. If you know all of that, I can try to go faster, just to organize a bit the stuff. So you gather all the pages, you kind of encode the pages, like with keywords or whatever you want. Okay, you make sure you store that in your index. And on the user side, when the user is asking something to the search engine is going to compare your query, both Macau, to whatever pages are here, and it's going to compare the content of the query, both Macau, to the content of the page. And to do that is using what's called a scoring function. I put that here. A scoring function, which is basically a mathematical thing to score, to give the rank, to give the importance of this page. And that's the little equation here. That's a very basic one. It's just to illustrate how this is done. This is done with term frequency and the inverse document frequency, which means that you just look at the pages that contain the most of your requests. The page that contains the most number of times both Macau is the one you want. Okay, that's the idea. Well, the problem with this is not really working because people can just hack the thing. You can just put a lot of both Macau, like you copy that 10,000 times, and you get a page that is going to be too high rank, but it's completely irrelevant in fact. So that's where Google started to work and invented the PageRank. PageRank is a little bit better because it uses the same kind of frequency of words, but also it looks at how much a page has been referenced by others. It's called the backlinks. That is the links that are going to link to your page. And if you are very, very an authority, that's what Google calls this. If you are important in the web, then you are going to be referenced, and then you are going to score higher. And that's how basically Google became what it is now. All right. So all of this is just like obvious stuff that I think everybody knows. Sorry for that. Just to recap. I just made a quick list of models. Of course, it's much more complicated than this. It started with BM25, like TF, IDF, then PageRank. Then there was a huge of knowledge graph. Knowledge graphs are basically a sort of encoding of meanings on the internet. That is, you know that between two nodes on a graph, you know that the relationship can be, for example, like I like banana, so I like banana, or someone likes banana, whatever. Okay. Anyway, let's keep this. Basically, I just want to say that we went from very basic statistic methods with counting just words to something that is much more complicated, which is the meaning that is contained in the keywords. Done with the technique here, and here this is more like sentence embedding, which is basically transforming a text in terms of vector. But this is still a scoring function. So it is still here, whatever the algorithm here is, it's still a scoring function, whatever it is. That is, you have someone in Google deciding that, okay, or it's not someone, but you have teams of meetings, etc., and decades of research, and they decide that the search function is this. When they make evolutions, by the way, Google just released a new I think every search engine actually is now refreshing their scoring function because of ChatGPT precisely. Well, anyway, so there's still a scoring function, which is a bit arbitrary. You decide that's like this, and it's going to be like this. That's a technical thing we can skip.
No.
Huh? What? ChatGPT, that was a thing. So ChatGPT, I just...
What do you call this one?
Yeah, sorry, that's the event you came for. So I just put some stuff here. So, of course, if you look at this story I just brought quickly, ChatGPT is just a natural evolution of Sharp. Instead of putting keywords and all of this and having the engine try to guess what you want, you're just telling what you want. This is so much better. So this is, of course, a natural evolution. So it's here to stay, and that's not a fad. The concept is here to stay. Of course, the good point is that it can converse, so you can discuss with it. You know that. Everybody has used ChatGPT today. Everybody? Who didn't use Who didn't use it yet?
Yet.
Okay.
And use again.
Okay, and so we have a workshop over there. Okay, so you in fact, just
Yeah, fine. You also know.
yeah, well, okay, but you can go now because after that it's not going to.
The users first. Yeah.
Here, that's a positive. After that, it's going down. Okay, so if you really want to try, maybe you should go. Okay, so it can converse. It can just talk to new keywords, understand the context. That is, the user is asking many questions. So the engine understands the context. You don't need to profile and guess whatever the person wants. The person is going to tell you. So it's possible to correct itself. And it does more than just listing pages. It gives a summary. You search something on ChatGPT. What is great is that it gives you a summary. So voilà, it creates documents. I don't know. I don't have all the use case here, but you can try whatever I wrote here. You can even do computer code and stuff like that, and maybe random as a result. But also, it's bluffing because it knows about everything, because it has basically encoded everything you could find on the net, so it's crazy. Personally, I asked some very specific question on a specific case in a specific theorem that is not common. It's a Ljubanov limit central theorem, and I was asking a specific question on a very, very specific case. That was just bluffing. But he was wrong, but it was bluffing because he was just not very clear on one condition I was explaining. But that's just reaching this level is really difficult. If I wanted to know that, I had to do search on Google and read some math for like maybe hours before I get there. And the thing was, but still I have to do it. So and it works in any language. So that's all the good points I think of ChatGPT. And I think later we are going to talk about, because it certainly did not put everything that is good. So if you have other points, you tell me. We can talk about this later. But one question is like, why is there such troubles? And I just want to point out that there is I don't know if you know that, but in the history of AI, there is a chatbot called Elisa with a Z, by the way. In 1960, and I saw there are videos of the operator, and she was talking about her life, etc. And the bot is very smartly done, and people really had the impression it was something intelligent. He was actually asking good questions and stuff like that. And people were really convinced that there were a huge form of intelligence behind this. So just to tell you, and that was in 1960, and of course the technology was extremely not developed at this time, not compared with what we have now. And still people were fooled. So just a grain of thought with ChatGPT is a great thing. Yeah, it's okay. It's a chatbot, it works, but maybe not that great. And just to prove that humans are very easy to fool, you know the story of the Mechanical Turk. Now the chess players. There was a small person inside the table, and it was playing chess because he was actually a great player. And people were fools. They really thought there was an intelligent robot doing stuff in the 18th century. So, voilà. So just a kind of thought about the buzz. Does it deserve this buzz? I talked about the good points. Jan LeCun, who is the inventor of certain technologies in deep learning, says no. There are many other large language models that can do the kind of same thing. Okay. But the point is that nobody cares if they deserve it or not. OpenAI did this for one specific reason. That's because if you work on the UX, you're going to collect a lot of interest from the public, which is exactly what happens. Everybody is going on there. Is going to ask questions. So it's basically a huge training field for OpenAI. So they gather a huge amount of data doing this, and they just train to refine their own engine, and they are the only ones to do this because everybody talks about ChatGPT and not the other one. So the point is to be the first one and to do some great user experience. Because of course the data means the money. I forgot to mention. Because they sold themselves to Microsoft, if you remember. Is it that powerful? Well, for the math, no. Someone were asking about the riddle about the guy who has he has a boat and he has a chicken, he has a fox and a wolf, and he cannot put the fox with the chicken because the fox is going to eat so you have to find the sequence of etc. And ChatGPT answered something absolutely ridiculous. That's total shame. So you just cannot reason. Of course, it's abstraction, etc. is not possible. He just repeats whatever he has been reading on the net. So if the answer is correct on the net, it's probably going to be right. Otherwise, no. You cannot do math. So if you ask math questions, it's not going to work. It can be tricked. There is plenty of ways to trick the thing. There is even a thread on Twitter of people like finding the methods to trick ChatGPT. It infringes copyright, so ChatGPT never asked, probably didn't ask on the internet to everyone if they could use their documents. No. And the problem is, of course, the low level of content, because it does huge mistakes. It totally invents stuff, and it doesn't even cite the sources, so you can't even check whatever. Okay, so that's a problem. So one famous mistake is the chicken, the cow's eggs. He was asking if are the chicken eggs bigger than the cow eggs? Cows don't have eggs, and there was seriously answering about this. But there is tons of that. I think you have been reading the net like me. What is the largest country in Central America that is not Mexico? Alors, if you ask the largest country in Central America, it's going to tell you it's Mexico. But if you make something a bit more complicated than this, he said Guatemala, but in fact this is Honduras. Okay, so you just complexify a little bit the query, and bam, completely wrong. He was right though at first. Whoa, stuff like this. So it's a good game. So what is the problem? To me, the major problem, that's my opinion, is the trash we have on the internet already. Internet is already a collection of so much trash. You don't social media, whatever. That's awful. You have many people who have some people troll people just for the fun. Okay, fair enough. But sometimes it's more like for commerce, advertisement. Of course, it's just organized liar. Corporate image, like all the greenwashing going on with ESG and this kind of things is just dramatic. Propaganda, don't mention. Manipulation, you remember Cambridge Analytica was just overtly, not overtly, but was manipulating people. It became a Brexit and the Trump election. Good job. So if we enable the ChatGPT to automate this, frankly, the fraction of the good information, you just have this on the net that is good information against that. Now it's going to be even less. So not a good idea. Plus, when people don't have the right information, they just make wrong decisions and wrong opinion. So that's a problem. But I think we are going to talk about this later. After that, what's next? I try to imagine what's going to happen. Alors, I think we can use it for fun stuff, whatever is not important, and even like creation of. It's not a random that DALL-E is equivalent. DALL-E that is generating images. It's kind of art. Well, it has no impact. It has no serious consequence. So you can use it like this. So play with it. So this is the thread with you can make. Because people have played. There was another chatbot called Tay by Microsoft, and in their experiments they used it for like a few weeks, and in few weeks it just became a racist, fascist, whatever. It's just because everybody was trolling the thing, and it just became totally racist. So that was fun, and so there is another thread here for. ChatGPT to try to make it say that Hitler was a good guy and stuff like this. So Myself, I use it sometimes to make a rough template. You want to have the structure of a document because you can't think of everything like straightforward, like organized. And ChatGPT is super good for this because he managed to organize stuff. Sometimes you see that this is not really okay, this is like overlapping, etc. But at least it gives you some content, and you can go from that and do your search. That's the thing I think the best addition of ChatGPT to me. And after that, we are still discovering use case. You guys have probably other anecdotes, but we are still using it for this. Another thing is that that's much deeper. That internet basically has been built thanks to Google. It's Google that basically mapped the internet, Google and other search engines, mapped the internet. Then all the sellers wanted to be first page on the result page. And basically this has formed the whole economy. The whole economy nowadays on the net is based on clicks. And now we are going to have people asking questions, etc. There is no search result page. And so there is no way you will be referenced as first page because there is no such link. Okay, so basically this is having a very, very deep impact on the economy actually in the internet economy. You have the slide on this.
I'm just watching your presentation again.
I'm in the forest. Okay. Interesting. And so there is a lot of business of CEOs is going to just go away. Okay, SEO, sorry. So you can forget about the search engine optimization after we are using this kind of. I'm just making the thing big, but that will have a lot of impact for sure. And as usual, needless to say that just like everything is going to follow the hype curve. In my opinion, we are here. We are climbing the peak of inflated expectations about ChatGPT. In my clients, I have a lot of people asking me stuff. It's like, no, don't do that. But still, you have a lot of expectations, and I think we are close to the peak, maybe not yet to the peak. We are going to come down to the reality and see that actually the quality of results matter. So, and in the end, we will find some use case as usual. So that's what I wanted to say. That's just trying to browse the landscape, and I let the discussion go on.
Is it working now? Hello everyone, my name is Cassie and I'm doing today's presentation. Wait for a moment, I have to make it. Okay, good. So I'm Cassie. I have to introduce myself again. I'm now working as the research assistant in Asia Pacific Academy of Economics and Management at the University of Macau now. So I'm basically a researcher. If my presentation is too academic later, please don't complain and forgive me, okay? And I'm not going to go too deep into the technical part because I think myself, I'm not as technical as maybe Shesh or Xavier. So I'm going to initiate the presentation or initiate my topic via the perspective of a normal consumer, like all of us, okay? So I'm going to talk about the future of web search with the consumer behavior perspective. Is it okay? Or?
Who is CPC?
Oh, yeah. I'm Katsi, and Sin is my colleague, and he was coming today for the presentation today, but he was caught by his professor, so he's not able to come. So originally, the technical part was his part, and that's why if I'm not going to go too deep, please don't campaign me, campaign Sin, okay? Okay, so I'm going to introduce a little bit about what is GPT. So GPT is technically generative pre-trained transformer, so its name. Okay, so it's actually a model combined unsupervised learning and supervised fine-tuned model. So it's put it into human language. It means the model itself, originally they don't put a specific purpose on it. So when we ask whatever questions we want, so it does not have a presumed context. Okay, that's its unsupervised learning at the beginning. But after we input our keywords or our points or inputs, our questions into the model, and it got refined. So actually, technically, the GPT model is actually a RNN, recurrent neural network. So put it into a human language. So it is like this. So we, as a consumer or user, we input our questions to the model. And the model, it would just calculate with its pre-trained model, and if can read our questions and generate the ultimate response to our questions. Okay, that's the basic concept of what is GPT. So actually, the GPT we can see now, it has relatively long. I would say, like in the technical language, like it has a history on that. So what we can see now for ChatGPT is actually its 3.5 model, and the OpenAI, the platform or the company itself, they got their first GPT model in 2017. Okay, so at that time, they put 7,000 books into the model and let the model learn. So it is their first version of model, so that's GPT-1, okay? So in 2019, they got refined the model to turn it into GPT-2, and they put much more text, data into the pre-trained model. So you can see they have already got 1.5 billion parameters into the model already. And after 1 year, in 2020, they got GPT-3, and you can see here the learning text itself, it's already huge. They got lots of books, Wikipedia, this and that. And there's another specific point to note here is they got GitHub in it. So it means GPT can write programs like Thomas now. Like Thomas now, okay? So so now, just like I said, ChatGPT is the GPT 3.5. So it is also a advanced level or advanced version of GPT-3, and we will talk about it a little bit later. And they are going to the OpenAI platform or the company itself. They are going to launch the GPT-4 this year, 2023. So we can see a much larger corpus it will train, and a much more things it can do for us, for example. So if you would like to deeper into the journey of ChatGPT or GPT, you can just click on the source here. And actually it contains the link here. They did a very good summary on what is GPT, how does it evolve according to the paper, the academic papers all these programmers they publish. So it's very, very detailed. So if you are interested, you could browse a little bit more in it. So here I put some summaries on what is the key characteristics of GPT-3. So what we are talking about, GPT-3, it's the version that's published or launched in 2020. Okay, so they got a higher accuracy, and what we are talking about accuracy here. Accuracy means they could calculate a lot of quantitative problems, like calculus, this and that, and what we were set, okay, the math problems. And also it got very high accuracy on finding or providing factual informations, like what is the year of Qin Shi Huang birth, okay. So that's kind of things that it did very, very well. Okay, so another two thing is it got a very, very good ability in comprehending human language. So they actually did a few tests in it, including the common sense reasoning. They put a lot of different phrases for the programs and asked it to comprehend whether it is its original meaning, okay? And also they conduct such natural language inference, the inference test, and ask the program or ask the model to infer what is the meaning behind such questions or our input, okay? And after that, the team also tests about its presentation ability. So they asked the model to generate a piece of news articles, so a piece of writing, and it actually got very good ability in generating a good piece of news articles. And also in their papers, they also ask humans like us, consumers, to distinguish whether the piece of news articles is generated by human or machine. So they reach a certain percent of what we can say, like they think the human could not really differentiate whether the news article generated by GPT-3 or generated by human. So they think such a model is a model that they can do tasks like humans do, okay? So, but in the paper itself, it also mentioned one major limitations of the program. It is the endogenous bias. So it means the program is it learned from the language or the data we input to the program. And actually, from the previous slide, you can see like the data it learned. It is from the historical data that we input. So it means the program itself, GPT-3, it will also learn the bias that exists in our language. It means maybe it is most obvious about gender, occupation, like what we always say, like we call firemen and policemen. It is also always with MAN at the end. So, but nowadays we are like doing our best to erase the gender equality or inequality or so. So we are always calling it a fire person or a business person. But because the data we are inputting to GPT-3 is the historical data we usually used. So GPT-3 itself, it got this bias from our historical conversations or language exists in the human language, okay? So that's the main limitations it notes in their paper. So from GPT-3 to ChatGPT, so the ChatGPT that we are using now, they actually improve the program with reinforcement learning. So it means GPT-3 is learning from our input. So the more we interact with GPT-3, the more the model would understand what we mean. So it means it can also learn every of us at the same time, real time. Okay, so it means it is going to understand us more. So here are a list of the improvements of ChatGPT compared to GPT-3, including like what we just discussed, like they train the ChatGPT or the GPT 3.5 with a larger corpus, and they use also like they have higher accuracy, and also they are using higher computational power or this and that. So these are a list of the improvements on the ChatGPT. Okay, so after we have introduced a lot about what is GPT, so how it's gonna revolutionize our web search. So I assume that all of us have already do information search with Google. So have you done any web search with the ChatGPT embedded web searching engine? Yeah, like the new bin. Yeah, actually, I think some of you have already experienced the new bin, because the new bin is, I think at this moment, the new bin is the most like present model to incorporate the ChatGPT, and actually I prepare a demo session on that. Yes. For the people who haven't experienced ChatGPT, so it's your time now. Maybe when you are the lucky to test or to ask what is your concern or what you would like to ask about the new bin. Right? It's not.
Is your screen too big?
Yeah, I am a student. I don't know whether.
So this is around.
Yeah.
The sugar and this stuff. Here, for sure.
Prepare questions, yes. Please. You are going to have your first conversation with ChatGPT. Oh, maybe I should close my.
Yeah, it works on the hidden, but not on the screen.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe I should do this.
Before screen.
Yeah.
It would be better.
Oh, sorry. Oh, here. You got the conversation with Newbin. So, please.
Yeah, I'm using ChatGPT also.
Yeah. The new bin, actually, just like I said, they are the most present model incorporate the ChatGPT with the Microsoft Bing search engine. So it is called new bin. So it's what we are going to see in the future, maybe tomorrow or next month, or we don't know when. So.
The assets right there. With your either way to this, or you will be part of.
Oh, I have already passed the wait list, so that's why I'm going to. Oh, you are. Actually, myself. Yeah. No. Lucky scene, because this is his account. Because I applied the test maybe 2 weeks ago and it didn't pass yet, and his account is already passed. So, yeah, since his account, thanks to him, we are going to converse with Newbin. Do you have any questions to ask Newbin, so that I can be your assistant to type? Okay, questions.
I asked the guy to just tell me or
Yeah, you can just tell me I'm going to retarding the system. Yeah.
I would deliver in that or clear style. There was a man from Macau.
Oh no, that's too much information for an assistant like me. Could you help to come to the station and I have to switch my role like very quickly, so that our audience could have the first-hand experience with the bin, right? Okay. Anyway, you can just type here in the chat box. Yeah. You have to, like, we can see. What's your name?
Dennis.
Dennis. We can see Dennis question here. Like, is it your first time to interact with ChatGPT or the new bin? Wow, very conscious.
I've been to TBS the first time. Oh, so lazy.
Yeah, let's take a look. What's with a limerick in?
I will see it.
Okay, oh limerick. Okay, oh sorry for my okay.
So let's see.
Here, there was a man from Macau who ran a remarkable cow. She fed her on pies and strawberry pies, and now she can sing like a sow.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm a fan of lyrics.
Limerick.
Which are kind of pure saying lyrics. Huh? We got read the question. Can you read the word? Did you read it? Can you read the word?
A limerick in
Edward Lear was a limerick. A limerick is a specific crime. For instance, there was a man from Madras. He was riding on a cream-colored ass, and so on. And there are some wilder limericks now, but this one is okay. This one is acceptable.
acceptable.
Well, yeah, it's acceptable. Nothing really funny. It's really very funny. If you look into the limericks by anywhere near them, it's truly sound.
Oh, okay.
So it's just
Just okay. Your evaluation with ChatGPT is okay.
everybody's just still trust him with a sound.
Okay, so here.
So
So
Girl, I know what it's called.
what is a soul?
It's like a girl cow.
Oh,
Sow is a girl cow.
A girl?
A girl and a lady hat off.
so some of the comments. Oh,
yeah,
Like a yeah.
yeah, that means like I think a lot of you have already experienced ChatGPT, and just like what Dennis did, like it can do creative tasks. So if you ask it to create a piece of creative passage, it can do that. Okay, so as a searching engine, we could also ask it some other questions like maybe a slogan for what? Macau Data Lab.
Yeah, nice.
Nice.
Okay. So it seems we are keen on asking creative questions,
Well,
like this cloud. Ooh.
Can you zoom in? Macau.
Where is data miss innovation? Do you like it? Do you like it?
Lab into relation.
Yeah.
After you give it now another one. Nothing.
Oh, we could also do evaluation here. Like yes, it's catchy. No, it's boring. Okay. Oh, can you make another one? Maybe we can also make another one. Yeah.
Okay, give a score to this.
so in
Yeah.
the chat actually, yes.
Yeah, it's just like you are talking to a person. Yeah. If we are not satisfied with the previous answer, maybe we can ask.
So it's
Oh.
it's a little boring.
Oh, sorry.
The ultimate estimate up that.
Okay, here. Another one. How about this one? Sure, how about this one? The ultimate destination for data enthusiasts. How? Yes, it's better. No, it's worse. Okay. Can you make another one? So if we would like to have another one, it can do it. Okay. So maybe let's try. Okay, yes, it's better.
Yeah, very good. We ask him, can we use you being as a reference in research?
Oh, okay. Let's do it. Oh.
We think about articles. Oh, I really had it.
Using ChatGPT
Oh.
to like trying to get like a literature review is it may cut it. article. So can you reference list, but it's entirely made up article.
Okay, so can you repeat your question, please? Can you
use ChatGPT, for example, for reference in a published article?
Can you use ChatGPT for? Can I use ChatGPT for writing for free? Sure now, okay. For reference
Yes, in academic paper.
in academic paper.
To be very precise, you know.
Easily for ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's one thing that we are going to talk about later. So just trying, no harm, right? Oh, searching for maybe I could teach.
Oh, wow, that's searching more.
That's the searching result. You can get it for real time, like ChatGPT. And actually, it's a little bit, the new bin itself, it's a little bit different from ChatGPT as well. That's what we are going to talk about. But now you can see from the demonstration, for ChatGPT is a pre-trained model. So what you can get or from the response, it's from the model it was trained 2 years ago. Okay, so the data itself in ChatGPT, it's by 2021. But after the ChatGPT was embedded with the searching engine, it got real-time information. So you can also get it like how their response, where does it come from? So you can also see like nowadays it is research preview and usage and it's free. So why is free on how does this piece of information come from? And it is from OpenAI.com. So it grabbed the web information and present it in a real time. When we are doing the ChatGPT with the searching engine. So it is like an advanced model of ChatGPT, GPT 3.5, okay? So what we can do as a user using such new bin for search, for information search, we could also do a evaluation or interaction with the searching engine as well. So that's the difference we can see.
And then you did repeat the last patient at the end and see if the result what turns out different.
Wait, let me, I have to repeat.
This is a then how do you step on towards?
Copy this.
Yeah, this helps. If you ask many times the same question. It's sometimes when we tell $1 something different. Yeah, I will the real lesion to be some packet.
Oh.
Do you know if it can have something in Chinese?
Oh yeah. It can read Chinese.
Oh, is that searching on data, bro?
So it's maybe the same.
It's rephrased it.
Yeah, I think it's the same.
To be, but it's a bit different because in that is in the result he's searching and learned it out. It's the research.
Yeah, it's doing the search.
You do the sentence answering. You say, is it an AI?
I think it's it's versus
But sometimes it would paraphrase the summary. So what we can see from such search is kind of, it is return you, as a user, return you a piece of summary of what it can grab from the web, okay? So that's...
One question, because you say in your presentation that this is and supervise, and here it says supervise.
Ah.
And oh, so that's a strong record. I'll differ supervise the other way. What's the supervise?
I think this here.
Both supervise.
Yeah. I think the supervised one is based on its supervised fine tuning, but it is originally an unsupervised model because we do not have the preset questions to put on such models. So talking about the supervised aspect, it is talking about it is keep supervising those fine-tune feature on that. Yep. And okay, that's it for our experience. I'm sorry, but yeah.
But it comes how to
Right.
Yeah, let's return to the presentation. So after our experience with the new bin, I think most of us already got the experience or the sense of how it works. And just like I said, it is quite different from ChatGPT as a language model or large language model. And actually, there are some people or some authors, they have already tested the differences between ChatGPT and the new bin. And they insert a list of different questions to the ChatGPT and also the new bin and draw the difference and evaluate the difference between it. And here I capture two for demonstrating the difference. So one difference, like I said, it has actually incorporates the source of those data. Well, you can see from ChatGPT, you don't know. You don't know the source of those data. You can just guess. Oh, maybe it is from Google Scholar, for example. And for new bin, actually, it got listed out where those data coming from. So as a user or a consumer, when you see such summary of the response, you could click those clicks to explore more about those informations. And if you would like to explore more knowledge about that, but in ChatGPT, it is good in summarizing all those informations. So if you would like to generate a paragraph of your data search, ChatGPT is good. But if you would like to know more about where those data are coming from, so the new bin would help you with the most updated information. So here it's, I'm sorry that it is quite small, but yeah. So here, the author tests about the question like, what are the odds of President Joe Biden winning the second term in 2024? Okay, that's a question that Americans would like to know. Okay, so ChatGPT, they also like simplifies a summary on that, but it says like it is still several years away. Because it based it on the model, it learned from the data by 2021. So if what we are going to ask, the question is about 2024, it says a few years later, okay? So that's the answer based on the model, the 2021 data on that. But for the new bin, it has already generating some of the insights or relevant data on predicting whether Joe Biden would win the run. Okay, so it provides you some of the data like how many odds it would win this and that. So if actually the article is quite interesting and it asks a lot of questions, including factual or existential questions, what is the meaning of life, this and that, and compare the answers or response between ChatGPT and the new bin, and you can see the difference. So it's interesting articles on that. So that would probably summarize the difference between ChatGPT and the new bin. And so here I put a very basic table to summarize what is the difference between conventional web search versus GPT embedded web search. So it's quite basic. So just like we can see in the conventional web search, we would input keywords. Okay, but in the GPT embedded web search, we are like talking to a person. So we are inputting a conversation to let it understand you. Okay, so and for the context, because we are inputting the keywords to the conventional web search, so it does not contain a lot of information about its context. So it is non-contextual. It would return you the web pages which is relevant to your keywords. Okay, but in the ChatGPT embedded web search, it is actually quite contextual because we are inputting or putting a questions to let it understand, and we are asking a series of questions into the web search. So it kind of, the GPT embedded web search, it kind of understanding what you are asking about. So it would generate some points about, are you asking about something like this? So it's pointing what you are searching for. So it seems like we are talking to a tour guide, and you are going to ask him or her, can you suggest any attractions for us to visit in Macau? What we can search in conventional web search is attractions in Macau, okay? But like when we are talking to the newbie, it's like it is pointing us, are you going to see the ruins of St. Paul? Or are you going to experience some attractions that is adventurous or relax? These kind of points or recommendations. Okay, so regarding the response formats, at least from now, okay, what we can see from conventional web search is we can see it return to us a list of web pages. So sometimes it contains text, images, or videos, depends on the results it generates. And for GPT embedded web search, most of the experience now, or at this moment, we can see it is the text summary. So we can see text summary, although it got linked to some of the data source, it is still text-based. So whether it will evolve to incorporate multimedia forms, we don't know yet. But we can see that will happen in the future, in the very near future, I guess, because we have a bunch of research already mentioned that multimedia is a more interesting and attractive media form to human being. That would be the future, at least we can foresee. Okay, so another important feature here is it got, for the GPT embedded web search, it got follow-up questions, or it asks you to interact with the chat or with the web search. So it asks us whether it is better or is worse. Of course, such questions would help it to refine its model, to increase its accuracy, and also it is pointing us to a more specific direction. So imagine we are going to our trip to Hong Kong. It tends to ask you whether you would like to book this restaurant. If we are asking, can you suggest us 3 famous restaurants in Hong Kong? So it actually send our information search. It helps us to make decision. That's its way, okay? And also, like these 3 are actually some basic informations like response evaluation. For GPT embedded web search, the response is brief and concise. So it's a summary of text. Okay, so it's easy to understand. If you only got 2 minutes to understand all the information that you would like to search, ChatGPT or the newbie is the tool for you, okay, if you got 2 minutes. Or if you would like to get more detailed or lengthy or in-depth information, you might would like to deeper down into the web pages. Maybe you are a fan of the conventional web search. That would bring you more and broader knowledge about such information search. And after all, we are coming to a business questions. Business questions, okay. So what we are talking about, like cost per search. Why Google search or the conventional web search is popular now? Because for us as a user, we can use it for free. Okay, we can use it for free. And Google did it actually with a very, very low cost per search. Okay, but what we are talking about, like the GPT embedded web search, the cost per search is much higher than the conventional web search. I remember I read an interview of an engineer of Microsoft, and and also the engineer of Google, and they mentioned it seems the cost of using a GPT embedded web search like New Bing, the cost is 10 times higher than the conventional Google search nowadays. But of course, they are expecting to lower down such costs if Google would like to make it as a profitable model. Okay, so lower down the cost per search would be their number one priority. Otherwise, if you are allowing all the users around the world to use such GPT embedded web search, the computing power and also the cost it involves, it's huge. Okay, if the cost could not be lowered down, it might not be a profitable model for those big tech companies to sustain such model. I think we as a user or a consumer may not be worried about all this very much, but that's their thinking, like at the back. We have to know about, like, they have to use a profitable model to sustain such business instead of like just putting us like for just providing the convenience for free. Okay, so talking about the potential profit source or potential profit model for as we all know, for Google, like conventional web search companies, they highly rely on advertising revenues. But what we can see here for GPT embedded web search, they actually got more opportunities to charge or to generate the revenue stream, because they not only can charge for advertising, they could also charge subscription fee because their searching cost is too high. But after we establish reliance on such search service, we might be willing to pay such subscriptions, like what we are paying for Netflix, right? Okay, even though we got free YouTube channels, we are still willing to pay for Netflix. So that's the thing here. And also, if it is providing the GPT embedded web search for users for free at this stage, what they are going to do is they are getting more and more users to use the model, to establish reliance on such model, to incorporate more what we are saying, like our behavior, to put it to the model and let the model learn. So it can sell the GPT as an infrastructure to do it as sell it as a GPT as a service, just like what we use for the cloud storage. Yeah, so that's basically a short summary between the difference between the conventional web search and also the GPT embedded web search. So sorry for this long presentation, and here finally comes to our speculation about what will be changed in the future. So what will be changed? It is I could put it in this way. Just like Sophia said just now, the model behind GPT is not new. it's actually quite traditional or classic. What we can say, it's quite classic. But what is changed is the consumer behavior. So we are facing such service. One, it is the thing that is going to change, it is our behavior. So here I list out some of the points that we expect the user behavior would change. First two thing I would say is when a conventional or normal user like me and you, okay, what we can see, what benefits we can see from such service is we are facing a information overflow age. We are at the age that we are having too much information. If I would like to search for a restaurant to have dinner, maybe there are loads of informations, marketing, message, this and that will be floating in the web search. But that's why, like when we are meeting the new being, the GPT embedded web search, the first benefits we can experience is we can reduce the information overload. So I just put my question in it, and it returns to me. Maybe in the old times I faced 30 choices or suggestions, and now I could just face 3. Okay, I just pick up from those 3. So it helped me to make decisions, and it helped me to get away from those information overflow. Okay, that is an obvious benefits for a user, because we don't want to bombard by a lot of informations, and we are done of that at the moment. Okay, now we got alternative. Why not? Okay, so the second thing is our psychological benefits. Is when we have such a powerful web searching tool or information searching tool, we would perceive our own ability would be enhanced. So I just maybe ask the newbie, can you write me a code of scraping the information from TripAdvisor, and it write me a buttless program, and even better than my own. Okay, it helped me to become a programmer at instance. So for a user myself, I would feel I am a programmer. I'm not a normal people. Okay, if I'm a tour guide, maybe I would like to plan my trip to Bangkok, for example. I just asked Newbin, and it helped me to generate a faultless itinerary to Bangkok, and I would think I'm just like a local. So that's self-efficacy. It is the underlying psychological benefits that a user could perceive. That's okay, Xavier.
I was about to engineer my presentation before that. Down sees that YouTube back and so up more background. So you get those, you can motivate things in the mini back out.
Yeah.
If you are a programmer that works, the first moment is it doesn't work. So if you actually, if you don't, and you show up a base, for example, business house of this program, so to you, in fact, is YouTube. So you cannot afford thinking you can be a little bit. We can think you are the security for 10 seconds. And if they do that talk, you will realize that a lot of things that the approach cannot. It's using for this.
Yeah. But I could argue for this one, actually. Like, if I'm a rational businessman or business person, I would think about the after course or the consequences of thinking like this. But if we are a user, for example, what we can do, or I'm not doing a business, I'm just dealing with my normal life. See what Instagram can do for us. Instagram, actually, like Instagram itself is an app, and it is a social app that provides us a platform to post images. But one very particular product that Instagram sells to its user, it's not just providing a social platform for you to post your picture. It is provide you the expertise that you don't need to hire a professional photographer to film you, and it provides you a very easy filter for normal people can become a photographer. So
That's basically what I say. There is no impact there. If someone finds out that in a picture or they don't no impact. So it's not necessarily, if you go to an HR interview and then you have, say we get another contact with it during the HR, and you are hired. The first day you have the job, and also you go with anything. So that's a big impact. And so it's super tough on the life, but that's a huge impact to all of this.
I don't know.
Together.
I think, you make the point. Like, if we would like to use such expertise to do like more stuff, or at least like earn money from it, or what. But what we are talking about here, it's about consumers' psychological benefits, like our perceived benefits. Yeah. Because like the benefits, this word benefits might be like objective or subjective. Like what we are talking about here is the subjective part, the subjective perspective of it, like what we are feeling ourselves, how we feel ourselves. Okay, so and maybe let's go through like the rest. And the third point is it actually changed the way we interact with a machine. Like for previously, we perceive a machine or AI. How we perceive AI, it is a machine, it's a model. But nowadays we can converse with it. So it actually helps us to perceive AI, or from the time, as the time go by, we would establish a perception that AI is actually like a human, because we talk to AI like we talk to human. Okay, that is the perception change along with our interaction with the AI, with the machine. So we would have a greater bond or trust, and also reliance to such service. That also would give like more opportunities for business. It is what we talk about later. And for consumers, for users, it actually guides us to make decisions like what we are talking about, and also guide us to explore more knowledge. Okay, so through its recommendations, like what we exhibit now, just now. And also, when we are talking about like longer term potentials, we can see like the ChatGPT itself as a conversational AI. It helps us to be more acceptable, and it makes AIoT more acceptable by the users, because we are getting used to talk to machine. Okay, so it will also help us to gain more and more personalized digital service after those service use the service by GPT. Okay, so here I summarized like 5 points for the opportunities for businesses. Upon the benefits for users, we can see like the ChatGPT, the GPT embedded web search actually perform a very high performance on conversational response, and also incorporate a quite high task competence. It means as a user, they are less suspicious to the result. We as a user would be less suspicious to such result, because we have a greater bonding with the AI assistant. Okay, and actually it means for the web search or the searching engine itself, it can capitalize from those greater bond trust and reliance. Just like they might have higher advertising effectiveness and also higher ROI. just now, Sophia said that the whole model, like the clicks, are decided by Google because it is the way internet structured. Okay, but nowadays, at the marketing perspective, if you are marketing people, you would like to see more actual return on investment instead of just on clicks, because clicks sometimes it means return or the actual purchase from the users. And if we are using such greater bonding formed by the GPT embedded web search, it means, or it can imply, the advertising effectiveness would be higher in the future, okay? And actually, it would also nurture a bunch of sticky user behaviors so that they would be more willing to pay the subscription fee. That would be also one of the benefits for opportunities for the businesses as well. And more users and more accuracies to train the model. It is just like we said, because the searching engine company, they could use GPT as an important infrastructure service to sell to those tech entrepreneurs or tech companies to earn extra revenue stream from GPT AAS, okay? And it would also provide more business opportunities to enhance users' knowledge and skills to use GPTs. Just like we said, maybe now it is still the early stage of the GPT web search, GPT embedded web search. That's why not all users might have the knowledge or skills to rapidly interact with GPT. That's why I don't know whether you have noticed or not, there are already businesses selling the GPT point books to help you to to respond or to point the GPT at the fastest speed. So that's the business generated from the lack of knowledge and skills at this moment. Maybe after a while, when we are all becoming GPT savvy users, those businesses would gone. But at this moment, I guess there are some of the people they would pay for their service because, yeah, we don't know.
One thing about books, with you, people like on the bench were migrating books based on ChatGPT. So basically, you have stuff.
Yeah.
And you correctly live there. And if you want to turn it in 5 across your book, you can sell it on Amazon. So with this kind of book about the pros for ChatGPT, one is going to take a bit of time. We can just automate this. Don't need to have some. So you can start. You want to admit this because it's going to be kind of automated.
Yeah, we don't know yet because we haven't access to the business profitable model at those service. But at least we can see there are businesses doing so. So that means those business person, they smell the profitability between that. So whether it is really profitable, we don't know. Maybe they are selling but their identity, I don't know.
When you have free technologies, you have always people who have the sense that, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of like the behavior to capitalize from the information asymmetry. Because like there are always people who would get involved with the new technology, get to know the new technology in advance, like more advanced than other people. They would just try to capitalize from those opportunities. Yeah, that's normal. And actually, here comes nearly the end of our presentation, my presentation. So are we talking about, is it the doom of searching engine or search engine? And what we think is, no, we are not there yet. at this moment, but the searching engine itself, it is indeed evolving. Of course, the GPT itself have consequences or the dark side, so we would leave to search to introduce, to introduce us what is the dark side of the GPT. But like here, I have already listed out a bunch of opportunities or what it would change in the future, at least at the user's perspective. Yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you. Slides, yeah, the waiting list.
Let's try to move to the dark side of the large language models and with the Google ChatGPT. And it's good, I think this very naturally and know that this is the race of the United Nations, and we are in the United Nations, we are working on sustainable development goals. So because of that, I will focus my presentation on why and ChatGPT and all these large language models are not really sustainable. Although not really the top places is both the definition. I know I want to discuss more about that later. So yes, we have seen lots of benefits of using ChatGPT. So my talk will now present the dark sides and why this is not sustainable. So my name is Serge Tinglish. I'm the head of research at the United Nations University Institute in Macau. So, I want to start with this cartoon that made the buzz recently on Twitter. I don't know if you can see very well, but basically it's a cartoon about that was published in 1923 about the year of 2023. So, what will happen in 100 years? And the prediction is actually quite good, in fact. So you have this guy who normally draws cartoons, and he has these two machines to help him. One to generate ideas for the scenarios of these cartoons, and then another one to generate the drawings, the pictures. So basically, this is a language model like GPT-3, okay, to generate ideas for the cartoons, and he also uses an image synthesis models like Stable Diffusion. So I will not talk about this part of AI, generative AI to generate images, but maybe in another presentation. But for this one, I will focus just on this one. So you see, 100 years before, they already predict that all our work will be done with electricity, yeah, for sure, since a long time, but they already predict that we will use such generative tools, in fact. So maybe when you enter the building, you see these very nice boxes. It's in fact a representation of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Xavier already has questions.
Just wanted to know if the drawing was made by ChatGPT or not.
No, it was done by. This drawing was done by Webster, so it's a cartoonist, a real cartoonist. In 1923, there was no ChatGPT as I can. Sorry. So yes, so maybe at the gate when you enter the building, you see this box that represents the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. You know that before 2030, the United Nations, us, in fact, all the people here, we have these goals that we should try to develop and try to have a more sustainable future. So you see, we want to fight the poverty, we want to have better education, we want to maybe fight the climate action, etc. Lots of these goals, in fact, are related also to digital technologies. Here in this institute, we are working on the impact of digital technologies on the SDGs, because digital technologies, ChatGPT maybe can help us, can have a good impact, a benefit on all these goals, but also have a bad impact. And I want to demonstrate a little bit today that we have to think about the bad impact of all these tools, not only ChatGPT, but also all the AI tools, all the digital technologies. There are also dark side of that. We not spend too much time on that. We already have some nice presentation before me that explain what is ChatGPT. So it means generative pre-trained transformer. So generative means that you create something, okay? Generation of text, generation of images. So GPT is only text. Pre-trained because you train the machine, you train the algorithm with lots of data. Transformer is a specific tools approach from Google to do that, okay? So a chat box is just a program that tries to mimic the human conversations, okay? And this is not only natural language, and this is why this is so nice, because we don't have to use a kind of, we don't have to program, we don't have to code, we just have to speak, okay? So this new generation of AI chatbot has been introduced in November 2022 by a company called OpenAI, and I will talk more about the company later. And on top, so this ChatGPT is the name of this tool, but in fact, this is based on a specific model called GPT 3.5, and this is called a large language model. And I will try to explain later what is a large language model, because until now we didn't understand what is a language model. Okay, so this GPT 3.5 uses semi-unsupervised learning. In fact, it's not completely supervised, so I don't want to explain what the difference between supervised learning and unsupervised learning is not the topic of today. Basically, supervised is that you need the human, you need the help of the human for training. Unsupervised, you don't need the help of the human. This is very rough definition, but I think this is enough for today. And reinforcement learning, it means that and we have seen in your demonstration, it was very clear. Reinforcement learning is that we give some feedback to the machine. We say, oh yes, this is good, or this is not good, okay? And the machine can learn from that. So this is called reinforcement learning, in fact. The same slide on Xavier, Elisa, yeah. With serendipity, read my mind, or I read your mind, I don't know. It was the first chat box, in fact, in 1966, not 16, in fact, it's in the 60s. Yeah.
How's this thing called?
Partly start in 64, in the 60s, yeah. So a guy called Joseph Weissman from MIT. Joseph, yeah, cool Joseph. It's cool Joseph to ask him, ask ChatGPT, yeah. I don't know. I just want to say that this Elisa chat box try to mimic a psychotherapist. I don't know if you already go see a psychotherapist, but not yet. No, maybe soon. And a specific psychotherapist from the Rogerian school. What is a psychotherapist of the Rogerian school? It's basically a therapist that repeat what you say. Okay, you say, I have problem with my mother or with my father, and the therapist said, okay, can you tell me more about your mother or your father? So it just repeat basically what you say. And this is what is doing Elisa, in fact. I don't know if you can see here, but the kind of conversation that you can have with Elisa is very, very basic conversation, because Elisa is not really intelligent. It just tried to identify some patterns, some words. So if you talk about your mother, for example, you will say, can you say me some more details about your mother, your relationship with your mother, etc. So it's based on predefined responses. But, and it was very surprising for Joseph Weissman, it was very surprising, the people who use the system, they were already completely, they feel that they were talking to another human, in fact. So they give some attribution to the machine, they attribute some human values to the machine. Even if the system were very basic, so it was not like ChatGPT, it was very basic. So we can imagine that the humans will do the same with ChatGPT. Okay, so let's try to explain what is a language model. And you have to understand that ChatGPT or all language models are not about facts or reasoning. They don't reason. They don't reason at all. They don't do reasoning at all. They are just about words. Okay? So a language model, the main task of a language model is to predict the most probable words that will follow the prompt that you write. Okay, you write something, and it will try to see what is the most probable answer to that. Okay, and in fact, you know about that already. If you use your phone, you have auto-completion. You know when you write something, it starts to complete, and this is a language model. In fact, very simple one, not something comparable to ChatGPT for sure. But when you write a sentence, it tries to say, okay, this is like that or like that. So this kind of language model, they can be used in lots of applications, not only chatbot, but also machine translation, summarization of text. We have seen already that previously, and auto-completion. So I want to give you an example. So for example, if we have the sentence, students open their books maybe, or laptops. Oh yeah, books, laptops. You're in my mouth. So you see there are many possibilities, okay? And in fact, ChatGPT use how it works. Xavier already explained that. There is a spider who go on the web, take lots of text, yes, it hit the text like that, and there is a lot of sentences like that. Students open their books, laptop, so it can provide some kinds of numbers. So 10, for example, it's completely random numbers, it's not accurate. So maybe 30% of the time, the students open their exam, and maybe it's only 10% of the time they open the laptops. Okay, so by just analyzing the corpus, a big corpus of text, big amount of text, we can build these numbers like that. Okay, and when we generate text, when the language model generates text, he starts like that, the students, and after that he tries to find what is the next words, and after that the next word and the next word. So basically like that he builds sentences, but without knowing anything. Okay, there is no mind inside. It's completely non-intelligent. It's only based on words. But it's in fact, I really simplify the algorithm. It's much more complex than that for sure. But basically, this is the way how it works. Okay. What is a large language model now? We have seen what is a language model. What is a large model? It's just a very big language model. So this kind of tools has been introduced by Google in 2017. It's neural networks. I don't have time to explain what are neural networks today, but if you want, I can do that another time. And they are based on an extensive corpus. They are based, and I will discuss about that. What is the size of the corpus later? They use a huge amount of text. Where these texts are coming from? Internet, because there is no other place to find text. Okay, except if you go to libraries or things like that. But most of the time, it's not digitalized, so it's not possible to use. And these large language models are very huge, very big, and a way to understand their performance and their sophistication is by how many parameters they have. What is this notion of parameters? Parameters is the number of factors that you consider when you generate some words like that. Okay? So usually this system uses lots of parameters. For example, if you, I don't know, we have seen some examples of prompt before. So maybe they will use maybe 2 or 3 or 4 words, different words inside the prompts at different place. So they will use all these parameters to generate the next words, not only the prompts that you wrote, but also other kinds of parameters. Okay? And what is the size of the corpus of ChatGPT? It's 45 terabytes of text. 45 terabytes. I don't know if you can imagine what is it, but I think it's maybe more than I think I read somewhere that this was the half of one of the biggest library in the world, the one that is in US in
Congress?
Yeah, this one. I think it's half of this library, so it's a huge number of text. Okay, and what what about the number of parameters? It's 175 billions of parameters that this system uses. So it's amazing, the number of parameters, okay? So this is why they are called large language model, because they are very, very big, in fact, okay? So we have seen lots of benefits of using ChatGPT. Let's try to see what are the risks. So I just enumerate some of the risks. There are potentially lots of more risks, and I will try to focus on 3 different risks at the end. So I just made a list here. First of all, the first one is about the risk for the jobs. Okay, maybe some jobs will disappear. All jobs that are knowledge workers, journalists, software developers, and maybe even researchers might be affected by that. Academics, because you can write very easily papers. Easily. You can try to write papers, but it's most of the time it's completely crap papers, bullshit papers. But okay. So all these jobs might be impacted by this ChatGPT technology. Academic world, I focus on academic because I'm an academic, so I was a bit afraid by this kind of technology. So it enables people without any expertise on the domain to write some text. And the problem is not writing text, it's more about the ownership of this text, the intellectual properties, because nobody knows about and I think already some papers have been written by ChatGPT. So we don't know who are the owners of the text, because this is basically ChatGPT is
authors. They have the already authored with ChatGPT.
They can be co-authors, why not? Education. This is a very important topic, education, because you can generate essays, you can generate answers to some exams quite easily. And so I guess this will encourage the students to cheat and to do some plagiarism. So it's very something that is very important to consider. And maybe writing assignment will disappear completely because it doesn't make any sense, okay? And some universities already block ChatGPT. I know that in US they have done that. But I think it's not the good solution. We should educate the young people, the students, how to use this tool, and not because for sure they will use this tool. Compliance, apparently there are also companies who ban, like banks in US, who ban completely and block the use of ChatGPT because they are concerned about data leaks. Maybe by using this tool, they will provide some information to the chatbot. And maybe there are some problems like that of information leaks, so it's also very important. For the moment, it's just hypothesis because we don't see anything that proves that this might appear in the future. So now I will focus on 3 of the risks, and I will give you more information about 3 different risks: social cohesion, environmental impacts, and transparency. Okay. So social cohesion, this is because ChatGPT can generate misinformation, hate speech, so a lot of things that maybe will propagate disinformation and maybe will affect the life of the people, the communities, and maybe the democracy at the end. Environmental impact, and we will see that this, and we already discussed a little bit about the cost, but also there is an impact on the climate, maybe, potentially. Transparency, we don't know at all how this algorithm works. It's a black box. We have some ideas, but we don't know exactly all the details. We don't know exactly where the data come from and how the data was curated, because there was a lot of predecessor of like Elisa, like Trey. We speak about Trey that become racist after a while. So one of the major problems of all this large language model is that if they are in interaction with people, they become toxic, they become racist, they become something like that. So you have to remove all this aspect inside this system. So how they have been able to do that is not really clear, and I will give you maybe some insight of they have done that. And first incident report about ChatGPT was in China, in Guangzhou, in February 2023. there was an incident, and this is the first incident about ChatGPT. Okay, and this incident was reported in a very interesting database that is called IIC, so AI Algorithm and Automation Incidents and Controversies. This is a very interesting database that collects all the problems related to AI. Okay, so what was the problem? There was a resident from the city of Guangzhou who used ChatGPT to generate an announce that looks like a city government announce, okay? And this announce says something about the fact that the number plates will be, there was some restriction apparently in this city about the number of plates for the cars, for the vehicles. And so starting from March, this restriction will be removed, okay? And this announced become viral on the Chinese social platforms. I don't know if you know about that. Maybe you, I don't know if people in Macau heard about that, but it became viral. And the police was involved, so there was a lot of problems like that. Okay? So it's the first incident due to the use of ChatGPT. So you see that ChatGPT can, in fact, be the source of this information, okay? Not alone, because you need someone who sends this information to some social network to start the dissemination, but okay. And something interesting is that ChatGPT was not supposed to understand Chinese because, and this was a remark from one of the OpenAI people, he says that we found that our model, so the ChatGPT model, can generalize to follow instruction in non-English, even though we almost exclusively train on English. And we still don't know why. So apparently, the ChatGPT has been trained only in English, but it can speak Chinese, it can speak French. I already speak French a little bit. So what? Very strange. Maybe two explanations. Maybe it's a data curation problem. Maybe we give the people who give text among the 45 terabytes of text. Maybe there was some text in Chinese, some text in French, and other languages. This is maybe a reason why. And maybe there's another explanation, is that this kind of system have the ability to generalize to other language. If they learn the language, maybe they have the ability to speak other kind of languages. That, okay, for the moment, we don't know exactly. And even the people of OpenAI, they don't know why ChatGPT is able to, they don't have a clear answer. They have some hypothesis, but we don't have clear answer of why they can understand Chinese and other languages, okay?
Is it how to control?
I don't say something like that.
We never have the.
We know that. No, but yeah, for sure, I guess one of these two explanations is the one that is correct, but we don't know exactly. Another misinformation, also, it was the second incident reported on ChatGPT in the same database, okay? And for the moment, this is only two incidents for ChatGPT, but we are in March, so we just start March. So I guess more will appear soon. So ChatGPT accused a company, so it was a German company called OpenCage. This company is quite nice. In fact, they do lots of programs and open source, open data, and they support the geospatial community. So you know all the people who are working on OpenStreetMap, for example. You know the OpenStreetMap is the equivalent of Google Maps, but completely open source, okay, open access. So they provide a kind of service called a geocoding service. What is a geocoding service? Basically, you, if you use Google, you already use this kind of service. You say, okay, I want to go to UNU Macau, and you give maybe the address, and the service provides you the exact position on the map, okay? And you can do the reverse. If you give an exact position, it will give you the place. Okay, so this is called geocoding. And what happens? In fact, ChatGPT accused OpenCage of phone lookup service. So it means that instead of saying that this is a geocoding service, ChatGPT says that this is a full lookup service. So in November 2022, just after the launch of ChatGPT, this company, they start to see more and more people sign up on their service. They want to use this service, okay? And these people were very disappointed. Why? Because they use ChatGPT, and ChatGPT say they recommend this company they provide a reverse phone number lookup. So what is a reverse phone number lookup service? Is that when you provide a phone number, you will know exactly where the phone is. Okay, so you give my phone number and you know that I am here at the Macau. It's completely crazy. It doesn't work. It's impossible to by the phone number to know, except if you are, I don't know, a massive surveillance system that know where everyone is. It's impossible to know from the phone numbers to know where exactly the person is. But the people, they think about that. And the CEO of the company believes that the problem was because on YouTube there was some tutorial that explained that this company provides some phone lookup service. So in fact, ChatGPT probably just copy-paste what was on this tutorial and use it to recommend the service. And this has a big impact on this company because the reputational risk, the fact that this company see lots of people coming that were completely disappointed by the service. So you can see, it's a very small company, so there is not that much impact, but we can expect such problems with much bigger company and much bigger impact, okay? So this is the first one, social cohesion. The fact that maybe ChatGPT can create very easily misinformation, disinformation, and we can propagate this disinformation. Second problems. Environmental problem. In 2020, this paper on the dangers of stochastic parrots, can language models be too big? This paper is published by, this woman, Timnit Gebel, very well known because she was working in Google and she was fired from Google in 2020 because Google, the headquarters of Google, they asked her to remove, she was working in Google at that time, to remove all the people working at Google as co-authors of these papers. They don't want this paper to be published, okay? Why? Because in this paper, it was the first paper that said, okay, there is a big danger of using this kind of technology, the large language model, okay? And they call it stochastic parrots. You know why? Because they call it stochastic parrots, because you see, in fact, it's just parrots. They just repeat what is on the internet, and stochastic because there is lots of random, a little bit random, but so it's like a parrot, but random a little bit. So this lady, in fact, refused to remove the co-authors, so she was fired, and James Dean, so one of the head of the AI research team, reply in my email that the decision was made because the paper apparently was not relevant and this paper does not cite recent research, and so there was lots of confusion about that, and she moved outside the company and she is now working for another I think NGO now. This was the first time that the people they said that okay, there might be an environmental impact for the use of this kind of model. Okay, so what kind of impact? If inside this paper you have this list of models, so this is a large language model. So the first one I think Xavier mentioned it is BERT in 2019 from Google. So there was a lots of models. I don't want to enumerate all of them until 2021, and you don't have ChatGPT because this paper was published before ChatGPT, okay? And you see that the number of parameters, we already mentioned this, increased a lot. So at the beginning it was millions, and now you see it's 10 at the power of 8, so it means 80, so it's 20 followed by 8 0, okay? And now we are around 1 followed by 12 zeros. So it's something like 157 billions of parameters, okay, for the number of parameters. And for the size of this model, the size of the data set, you see we start with something very light, 16 of gigabytes. And now we are close to the 1 terabyte. And you see, and I already mentioned that the ChatGPT was 45 terabytes. So you see, more and more parameters, more and more the size increase a lot also. So it means that in order to produce the training of this algorithm, you need a lot of computing power, you need a lot of time to train that. And if you need more computing power, you generate more and more gas emission because you need electricity to, okay, we can come back to my first slide about the electricity, but the idea is that here that you consume a lot of electricity, and until now it's very difficult to measure exactly how much electricity, how much power, and how much greenhouse gas emission this kind of large language model can create. Okay, why this is difficult? Because this is private companies that don't want to give you the information, the secret of the company, so they don't want to share that. And we don't know exactly how they train, how much they train, and what is the cost of running this kind of model. So there are lots of uncertainties that. But we can have some ideas, rough ideas. BERT, to the first one in 2019 from Google, bidirectional encoder representation from transformer. This is a mini BERT, okay? 300 million parameters already in 2019. Training on a GPU, so GPU is a graphic processing unit that you have on your computer. It's equivalent to a trans-American flight, the production of greenhouse gas emission. So you see, training this model is almost the same as taking a flight from, I would say, Washington, Boston to Los Angeles, maybe, something like that, okay? Okay. Bloom 2022, it's a model produced by a French company called Hugging Face, okay? 25 tons of carbon dioxide emissions, so it's equivalent to 30 flights between London and New York. Okay, so you see, between 2019 and 2022, it's already increased a lot. But it's very difficult to measure also because this is a French large language model. So the training has been done on a French supercomputer. And you know maybe that in France we use a lot of nuclear energy that doesn't produce any green gas emission. So in fact, equivalent large language model might produce even more than 25 of carbon dioxide emissions, okay? GPT-3, so approximately, from the numbers I find on the internet, it's difficult to measure exactly, 500 tons. So you see, 20 more than this one. Huh? 500 tons of carbon dioxide emissions, around 600 flights. So every time this model is trained, okay? We don't know exactly how much it costs when you just run the model. With that, you can say, okay, yes, it's only 600 flights. It's not that much between London and New York, so not that much. But the problem is that you need to train again every time you want to update the model. So, for example, ChatGPT, for the moment, only know what happens in 2021. He has no idea about 2023, for example. So if you want to train it again, you have to spend this energy again. So. And we can see, we might expect in the future more and more and more of the system, maybe thousands of the system. So you can see that it's not only 600 flights, might be 66,000 or even more flights. So you can see that this system maybe will not be the main greenhouse gas emission in the world, but they will represent a certain amount. And this is already the case for all digital technologies. These kind of technologies just arrived, but it was already the case before. Google, all these companies, all these GAFAs, they have lots of already computers, they have lots of data center they use around the world, and most of these data centers produce lots of greenhouse gas emissions, so they might have an impact on the climate in the future. But as we say also before, the previous presentation before me, is that it costs also lots of money for the companies. So it's so they are in fact investing a lot in research to try to reduce the size of this kind of models, to reduce also the economic cost. Okay, so we might expect in the short future that they will produce less than that, but still, okay, they will have some kind of impact on the climate. So this is very important to consider that also in the future. Just something interesting, in 10 days, March 17, we will celebrate the second anniversary of this paper, the paper of Timnit Gebru, and there will be a special day for that called the Stochastic Parrots Day. Okay, so you can join. It's free, and they will do a conversation with the Stochastic Parrot author, the author of the papers, and there will be also a presentation about what is the future of all these technologies. So it's very interesting. Presentation. So unfortunately, I think this is in US, and for us it might be very, very late, but this is online and you can follow this conversation about the stochastic parrots. Do you know now what are stochastic parrots? Okay, so now I will move to the last risk. So this is about transparency. Okay, and I will say that first that humans are very important for ChatGPT, and all the AI systems are very important to ChatGPT. In fact, large language models like ChatGPT, GPT-3 are trained on, we already see that, they are trained on hundreds of billions of words that are scrapped with spiders on the internet, okay? So they are already using lots of human knowledge that we produce, okay? Even if, like you say, there is lots of crap on the internet. This is crap mainly produced maybe by humans, in fact, at the end. And you know that in the internet there are lots of toxic documents, lots of bad things, and this is very difficult to remove these bad things from the internet, to keep what is interesting and what you can use as training data. One solution, and there is not that much solution, I think this is the only solution to train your system, is by using label examples. So you have to say, okay, this document is hate speech document. This document is violence. Okay, so you need someone, and who can tell you that except us, humans, people. Okay, so people, they have to interact with this kind of systems to identify, to put some labels, to say, okay, this is a toxic document, this is about sexual abuse, this is about harm for humans, etc. So you have to think about that. And someone, I think this is a guy who is working on on AI and ethics. He said that these systems are not magic. They rely on massive supply chains of human labor and scrap data, and much of which is unattributed and used without contents. So you put something on the internet, you put some, I don't know, books, documents on the internet, your thoughts. And this kind of system, GPT-3, they use this to produce new knowledge, okay? And you don't give your consent, okay? So this is very concerning. And companies like OpenAI, for the moment, they don't care about that. They just
I take plagiarism.
Yeah, I take plagiarism, yeah, for sure. This is like that. So, questions: how come all the data was curated? All the data that is used in ChatGPT was curated by Kenyan workers. In fact, journalists from the Time magazine discovered recently that Kenyan workers has been hired, a company called Sana has been hired to label the documents. Okay, so they spend time to read documents, text documents, and they have to say, okay, this is a violent document, so or this is something about I don't know, sexual harassment or something about I don't know, whatever. And in November 2021, so OpenAI sent thousands of text to this company in Kenya, so-called Sama, and the employees have to read a label between 150 and 250 passage of text in 9 hours shift. And all of these texts are between 100 and 1,000 words, okay? And the employees have lots of mental issues because the texts some of the texts are really hard text. The text about, I don't know, very violent, very toxic, lots of racist things, etc. So these employees have been suffering of lots of mental issues, and the company provides some sessions with wellness counselors, to psychotherapists to help the people, but apparently there was not that much of these sessions, very rare, so the people were very depressed, and the work was very traumatic for them, okay? And at the end, in fact, this company decided to cancel all the work with OpenAI. They say, okay, no, we don't want our employees to do that anymore.
You could use Roger as a type of
They could use Roger in psychotherapy. Yeah. So yeah, so it's a very interesting paper. You can read it on the web. It's time, and you know how much it costs for the Kenyan workers. They were paid $2 per hour. Okay. Very cheap. So they were paid $2 per hour to make ChatGPT less toxic. Okay, and this image, in fact, for the small stories, this image was generated by another software for OpenAI called Daily 2, in fact. So they asked to produce an image to this generative AI that produce image and the prompt was, I can read you can't read it, but I can read it. It's a seemingly endless view of African workers at desk in front of computer screen in a printmaking style. So this is how this image was produced. Okay, it's a fake image. It's not a real one. Okay, this is almost the end of my talk, and I will summarize my talk with this nice diagram that is very close to the one we see from Xavier, I don't remember the name of the Gartner graph that you showed. So it's very similar, and this one is in fact linked to the Dunning-Kruger effect. You know the Dunning-Kruger effect? Yes. Maybe I will just say it's a cognitive bias that when the people they learn about something, for example, you learn about ChatGPT, you read some papers, you read some documents, some news articles about that, and you think that you are an expert now, okay? Just because you read two papers about that, okay? So in this graph, you see the confidence level in ChatGPT. So at the beginning, the people are very confident about ChatGPT, some 100% confident about that, okay? Wow, ChatGPT is able to answer all my questions. This is nice, very intelligent guy.
That's where we are.
Yeah, where we are here. No, I hope that you are now here or here. At the beginning, before coming to this session, you were here, okay? You say, wow, he's able to answer all my questions. He can quickly generate very elaborated answers that are credible and coherent. Finally, a chatbot that behaves like a superhuman, okay? You were here before coming here today here. Now we are more here. Oh, wait a minute. ChatGPT is powered by a large language model, which is ultimately a statistical tool. Okay, it's the stochastic parrot used to predict language without understanding it and produce statistically plausible answers. Okay, so we are here. And after that, we can go even further down. This means that ChatGPT will occasionally generate incorrect answers. by unintententionally stitching wrong snippets of information together. Okay, so normally you are here. But there is no light at the end of the tunnel. In fact, even if it's a tool, like all technological tools, there are lots of bad impact, but also lots of interest. And we already mentioned that we can use it as a creative tool to generate poetry, like Denise, you tried to do it, but yeah, it was not maybe as good as you expected. So we can use it as in a creative way. We can use it to summarize text, and I think it's quite good to summarize text. It's very interesting to use it like that. So we have to learn how to use it. So got it. ChatGPT is great when there isn't a precise right answer, but it cannot be trusted when the answer must be perfect to be reliably useful, okay? And okay, now, at the end, we are here, ready now. I understand where the real values of ChatGPT resides. It can definitely give my productivity a boost, but it's important to recognize when it gets things completely wrong. So most of the user, they will go like that, and maybe they will be a little bit disappointed by the tools. But I think this kind of tool can also be used in some creative way. So we have to learn how to use this kind of tool. So thank you for listening to my presentation.